Rev up your engines!
Now, here's something that people might not have thought of with that UAW GM strike. It's not really affecting the ability to buy one of their new vehicles because they had so many of them lying around because they had horrible sales. So they're not running out of cars to sell you, but they are running out of parts if you want to fix your car. They don't have that big of a backstock of spare parts, and now that they're on strike and they're not making any for a bunch of different vehicles, you might want to go and get the original part for your car when it's time to get it fixed. Well, you might find out they can't get their hands on it because they don't have any. Now, of course, there's always aftermarket, so it's not like you have no other alternative to do. But if it's a deal where it's a dealer-only part and they don't have it, yeah, then you're pretty much screwed. It would either be try to find one in a junkyard, or wait until the strike goes off and they start making the thing. So, they didn't really think about that in the long run, but that's one thing that's really going to bite them in the rear end. They don't have spare parts and the people can't fix their cars correctly. It makes them look bad. And I mean, they were looking bad enough in the first place over the last decade with the problems that GM has had with hiding that ignition key switch problem that they've had. So this isn't making them look any better, We'll see what happens as it goes on, because this is today. The strike is still going on. There, as I said earlier, I'm assuming that GM isn't even going to care all that much, because they'll probably end up moving a bunch of their production to China. They already have a bunch of factories there, and they'll probably just say, we'll just move it over there, and then not even worry about having it over here. That's my theory on it, because I see how they all seem to be doing that, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because Toyota and Mazda are just building a new factory, I believe, in Alabama together to build cars. So maybe they'll move over here, and then our companies will move to China. Acorn 25 says, is it okay to keep pressurized cans of glass cleaner and other cleaners like battery cleaner in the trunk of your car? Now, you don't want to keep them inside the car where you sit, where the sun beats down and makes them hot. But the trunks don't get that hot. I've had pressurized glass cleaner, brake cleaner and stuff inside the trunk. Never had any problems at all. It doesn't get all that hot inside the trunk itself. But as I said in one of my videos, you don't want to have any kind of cleaner, hairspray sitting in the window on the glass inside. The sun can heat it up and it can blow up. In the trunk, no, you're not going to have any problems. Moreno WTF says, hey, kind of a doozer. I've got 04 Nissan Murano. Wiper blades won't turn off. All the lights flash with every swing of the wiper blades. It keeps blowing the fuel pump really help. If you're not the original owner, I would say perhaps the vehicle got in a flood and now water is corroding the wiring and the computers, and they'll do all kinds of crazy stuff because the fuel pump and the wiper blades really aren't related. And if it's blowing a fuel pump fuse and the wipers are doing that crazy stuff, my guess would be the car was flooded and now it's just going to start falling apart. But then again, it is a 16-year-old Nissan Murano, one of the junkier vehicles ever built in the history of mankind. So it could be that you got a computer flaw or a wiring flaw that's starting to cross circuit stuff and do it. I would say find a guy like me first to hook up his computer, and if he sees a bunch of weird stuff and he starts testing and says, I think your computer's going out, then you decide you want to put that kind of money in that car. You just want to get rid of the stupid thing, because you can put a ton of money in electronics on one of those. But let's say you're not the original owner and you think maybe it's been in a flood, and the mechanic looks and says, yeah, this thing's been flooded, just get rid of it, don't even bother. Once the car's flooded, all the electronics start breaking down the line with all those computers, and it's not worth even attempting to fix them. DJT says, I got an '06 Buick LaCrosse with 93,000 miles. Sometimes I take off, it shifts first to second, it feels like it skips or bounces, but it doesn't slam. It doesn't happen in any other gear. Well, odds are your transmission's wearing out. Typical on a Buick, that's about as long as they're going to last. Pray that it's something like one of the solenoids, the shift solenoids, going bad, and have it replaced. You might get lucky and it could be a shift solenoid, but it takes a professional mechanic with a bidirectional scan tool that can turn things on and off and test and see what happens when he turns them on. Start there, and if it's a solenoid, great, have him put a new solenoid in it. But if not, the transmission's wearing out. And on that thing, the money it costs to rebuild those things, you might just live with it as long as it goes down the road. I've had customers drive them years that way, and they still worked good enough that they didn't care. They didn't want to spend a ton rebuilding the transmission on an older car like that. Chicken, yes? Scotty, I got an '03 Chrysler Intrepid V6 2.7 liter, 106,000 kilometers. How much time do you reckon it'll last? Still runs perfectly. All right, I'm assuming you're in Canada, you said kilometers. Those Intrepids, V6 2.7 liters are one of the worst engines they ever made, but you only got, what, like, I don't know, 54,000 miles or something on it, because you said kilometers. It can still last a while. I mean, if the engine ever starts to have problems with the transmission, say, I'd get rid of the stupid thing. But you got it. It's worth nothing. Nobody's going to give you much for a 7 17-year-old Intrepid. So keep driving it. If you baby it, keep doing whatever you've been doing and keep your fingers crossed. Because you never know. I'd never advise anybody to buy one of those, but you already own it. With that low mileage, it still might last quite some time. In the United States, people drive a lot more. If that was a 17-year-old one here, it'd probably have 190,000 miles, or it would already be in a junkyard because somebody would have gotten rid of it when the engine went out. So just take care of it. Who knows how long it'll last. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.